Welcome back to another Battle Wagon adventure. The only real update from last time is that now I have a light bar on the front with some actual lights. But today we are doing the first bit of automotive modification that I have done since my head injury, and that is installing a dash camera to document my imminent demise because I am no longer capable of driving adequately. Or in other words, I filmed this about 7 months after I had the head injury, and I completely forgot about this footage because my brain was still that completely messed up, and I just found the footage recently. But with that said, let's get to the camera install. This was absolutely an Amazon special. It was part of a lightning deal. I got this for $30. As you can see here, it comes with the power cord, it comes with the camera itself. It has the world record shortest USB cable for presumably downloading the data, but it did not come with a memory card. However, you can get a memory card for something like $16. The last thing that was included was the world's most poorly written set of instructions. This really shouldn't be a surprise at the $30 price point, but nevertheless, like I said, my brain was pretty scrambled, so having to try to figure this out on my own was not something that I was having a good time with. But the easiest way I found to make this work was to just play with it and see what happened. Even at this price point, most dash cameras are smart enough that they turn on the second they get power and they turn off the second that power is removed. So pretty much any power supply that is connected to your ignition and turns on and off with the car, that is all the camera really needs to start doing its thing properly. And I figured that out by just plugging it in and seeing that it immediately powered on, then unplugging it and seeing that it immediately powered off. Keep in mind that this is not a camera for Hollywood productions, right? So here's a quick critique.
Ooh, yeah, it shows the whole world. Video's not super stable or crisp or good color. I don't know how well that shows, but yeah, that is interesting.
I then spent legitimately 5 minutes pressing every button to try to figure out the settings on this thing. Again, head injury combined with instructions that were really not complete sentences, but eventually I figured out what the mode button was. I got it into the video mode and everything was set to go at that point. With the camera set up, now this part is critical. You gotta pick a spot where you have a good field of view of the front of the car and you can actually, see stuff, but where it's not blocking your vision while you're driving. I ended up choosing this spot here behind the rear view mirror. But one thing I quickly realized is that the field of view on this is not phenomenal, so I'm putting this GoPro directly in line with the lens. While the GoPro easily captures the inspection sticker and beyond it, the camera doesn't even pick up the inspection sticker. So just keep that in mind when you're pointing this camera, that you need to be able to see at least what's in front of you and just plan accordingly for your field of view. Next is getting this big old dangly power cord out of the way, because beyond being just visually obnoxious, I don't want that flapping around and getting in the way of the steering wheel or the shifter while I'm driving. Obviously, make sure the cord is long enough to route it around before you start tearing apart your interior. I just did a rough markup of where I thought that cord would be going, but bonus points to you if you're pretending to fight an anaconda while doing this. Routing this cable is a lot easier than I actually thought it was going to be, so me with literal brain damage during this video was able to figure it out. The headliner is very simple to pull down at the edge. I was actually very surprised at how easy it was to pull down and get the cable underneath, and then the cover for the pillar literally popped off with finger pressure. Because I'm going to be routing this to the 12-volt outlet, because that's how I'm going to be powering this, I'm also going to be removing the trim panels in the center so that I can get to the outlet from the backside, because, that's where the cable's got to go through. The surround near the shifter just pops out. After that, it reveals a couple screw heads. You just undo those, and then the next section of the panel pops out as well. Then you just take the cable and you run it from where you want it to start to where you want it to end. It's really that simple. Now, the only caveat is when you're going underneath the steering area, just avoid any of the steering parts and make sure you zip tie it up and out of the way so that it has no risk of going in contact with the steering parts or the pedals at any point in the future. And for the headliner, you literally just pull down that first inch or so with your fingernails, and then you can stuff it up behind there. If you want to get it farther in there, you could use a screwdriver, but really it's not necessary. But once you're happy with how everything sits, just put your panels back into place. Obviously screw your center console, make sure your HVAC controls are plugged back in, and then obviously put the pillar cover back on as well, and you might have to move the wire a little bit so that you're not blocking the clips. That's really the only sort of difficult part of this. This is the easiest install you could ever do though, so if you can't figure that out, then maybe this isn't the right job for you. And I waited to the end to zip tie my things away from the steering column because I only wanted to use one zip tie to keep those things off the steering components and to take the slack out at once. Basically, the rest of my zip ties were inside and I was too lazy to go get them.
There you have it, another Battle Wagon adventure. adventure is complete. I hope you enjoyed watching, and when I inevitably crash the car, at least we'll have an excellent 1080p record of it for everyone to replay on the internet indefinitely. As I slowly start driving more, I'm hoping to actually go on the adventures that I had initially planned for this car. Thank you for watching. That's all I got for today. I'm out.